Hello, folks. When you think of Maine, you probably think of beautiful forests of pine trees and rivers and beautiful coastline. Do you think of rugged sand dunes? I didn't, but believe it or not, we are in Maine still. Only a few miles north of the giant city in Maine, Portland, lies a small, sleepy town called Freeport. And on the outskirts of this town lies this very odd natural formation. Folks, I welcome you to the Desert of Maine. Well, this is clearly a fun sign. Tells you right where we are here in the Desert of Maine. A nice, colorful camel. So the big persisting question is, why is this desert here? How did it develop? Clearly, this is not a true desert. Sorry to disappoint you all, but if it were, you wouldn't have these trees just tens of feet away from us. So I've talked about the Ice Age and the glacial recession in the Northeast, wherever I go, seemingly, because the Ice Age and its following recession really affected a lot of the Northeast United States geologically. Another example is right here in the Desert of Maine. Originally, lots of sediment, as the glaciers receded, settled down here in this general area. And that's what you find with the sand, like right around here and all over the area. It wasn't the top of the ground. Originally, this was like a pasture, a farm area. The Tuttle family, who originally owned this farm, had a lot of sheep. And what do sheep really need? They need food, sustenance, to be able to live their lives. And so they chomped at the grass and the vegetation on top of this sand, which eventually uncovered this whole area of what's now sort of desert. All these dunes all around. That was underground, and it always was underground. It just took some sheep to chomp at the grass above it to uncover this mighty fine looking dune. So in the 1920s, as US Highway 1 came about right through Maine, just a couple miles from here, this was set up as sort of this tourist attraction. Who, in their right minds, would think that a desert would be on the eastern shore of the United States? Certainly not I, before I checked this place out. It's not like we're in some remote part of Maine. This is just a few miles away from Portland, as I said. But yeah, as people would go up and down Maine for probably the other natural attractions, the rocky coastline, some of the beaches, the nice forest getaways, this was set up as another tourist attraction. So yeah, there's all of this for family fun and just looking around, having a nice day. Now, if you don't mind that this place is sort of a tourist trap in itself, and you also don't mind screaming children, well, come take a visit to the Desert of Maine here in Freeport. Don't want to be too cynical or come off too cynical about this place. This place is quite remarkable when you think about how most of Maine is just thick forests, right? And in this one region is just something completely opposite of that. A little bit away from the dunes, now we're in the forested area. This is sort of a trail, and it's quite nice. We're away from everybody screaming, mostly children, parents telling their children not to pick their noses, you know, that type of thing. So it's nice, a little more peaceful here. Just with poor soil care, you know, abandonment of the farmland area, not taking good care of it, having a lot of livestock to just graze on the remaining grasses. You got something like that behind us. This giant dune in the middle of forest. It wasn't uncommon at all to see cars like this, the Model T, one of the original models of cars, being lined up right by this roadside attraction in its early days. Unlike modern cars, however, cars from this day and age, you've got to crank this up to start the engine. Yeah, you don't just push a button or turn the key. You really gotta crank the engine up. You'd fill up your tank using one of these weird looking things. And a car looked like this. Didn't have full windows. You just got in and you were ready to ride. Yeah, safety wasn't much of an issue back then in the 20s. Look at these thin tires. You'd never see that on modern cars. Look at that. Last time it was inspected, 1978. It's more than 40 years ago. But I think this car's retired by now. You know, it would be fun someday to make a series, like a video series on US Route 1. A very historic route. This was essentially the Atlantic Highway, took you up from Maine down to the Florida coast. Now, as I've mentioned before, I'm not a fan of all the tacky tourism things, but there is one thing in this barn that I'm a real fan of. Let me show you. Take a look at this. It's a sand museum, and they have different vials of sand from various places all around the world. Like they have sand from India, the Bahamas, to the Sahara Desert in Morocco. All different states in the United States, different countries. You can see the different colors and hues of the sand and the quality. This fine sand from the deserts of Utah being red. You can see this rather coarse, colorful sand from the beaches of Hawaii. And then Greece. This doesn't look like sand, it looks like a bunch of stones and pebbles. And then we have that yellow desert sand from the Mongolian Gobi Desert. All of these different colors, quality of sand, all around the world. Now, I did get an actual chance to explore the town of Freeport, but I've got to say I was a bit disappointed, and as I explain, I'll show you bits and clips and all that. So overall, I thought there was going to be some culture there, you know, original town local stuff. But instead I found it to be a glorified shopping mall. I think that company LL Bean, they sort of owned the whole town essentially. So they had their own factory stores along with their own little outdoor shopping malls. And you know I'm not really about that because that doesn't really scream culture. You can find that anywhere else in America. However, I did find something interesting. I found a McDonald's in a traditional house. Not like the Golden Arches or like a brick building, but like just some New England house. So that was pretty cool. That's why we're over here. It's this grand view of the Casco Bay. Once again, we were at the lower part of it in Portland, and now here in the area around Freeport, we're in the upper part of it. There's a boat logged up on the shore. Don't know what's going on with that, what's the story behind that, but I don't know how difficult it would be to pull the ship out to the sea. Yeah, there's all these mud flats in the way before you get to the actual water, the bay. So I guess we're able to somewhat walk on these mud flats here. And it's a beautiful sight. You can see this whole arrangement of rocky islands in the distance. Although it's such a beautiful sight behind me, and I would really like to go out even further and explore these islands, I didn't really necessarily plan on taking a mud bath today, nor do I want to get stuck in the mud like I did in St. Louis, Missouri, if any of you remember that incident. Yeah, this is Freeport, and it's beautiful surrounding Casco Bay. So we have here a stream, but it looks like from where all the mud is, should this be a river instead of just a pathetic stream? Should there be more flow of water, or is this it? Okay, here we probably have a better view, a little more elevated. As you can see, the same beautiful bay from a different perspective. So, continuing off from where I thought the end of the video might be, but in a better view to end it off, we got plenty more to explore here in the Pine Tree State, Maine. We're gonna go a little more into the interior of Maine. Not too much, I'll still probably see the coast once more. But after Maine, we gotta go back eastward. We need to see all of New England, or as much as we can. I don't want to go to Massachusetts right now with how much the prices are for campgrounds, as I told you maybe in a previous video. But yes, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed our day here in Freeport, Maine. First it was the desert, which was quite interesting, I must say. Just a completely different location when it comes to Maine. You think of Maine as the land of forests and these types of views, but with the desert it's a bit different. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. And then we have this view to end it off. So, walking in front of the beautiful natural site of Casco Bay near Freeport, Maine. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location.